Greetings, and today on LGR it's one of those computery things I dreamed of having as a kid, but never got the chance to experience until now. This is a Creative Labs CD-ROM kit from the mid-1990s, the Double Speed Discovery CD New Edition to be precise. An all-new bundle of goodies back when it launched in 1995, and still new decades later, or new old stock at least. It's never been opened or installed, which makes this a rather special occasion in the realm of retro computing, so that's what we're gonna do today. Upgrade one of my mid-90s 486 PCs with a CD-ROM, a Sound Blaster card, Creative Labs speakers, and a pretty impressive pile of software for DOS and Windows. Huge thank you to Brad and Paul, who found this lovely thing at a yard sale a few months back, still sealed. They got in touch and asked if I'd like to buy it off them and make an unboxing video, and yeah, I could not pass up the opportunity, because I don't know about you, but in my mind, the prospect of upgrading a bog standard 486 PC with multimedia capabilities is still hugely exciting. It's something I fantasized about doing with my Packard Bell Legend back in the day, but never did because dang dude, the dang things were darned expensive. This bundle in particular had a suggested retail price of $379.99 US back in 1995, which adjusts to around $716 today when accounting for inflation. Although nearly every ad I've found for it has a pretty sizable discount applied, usually cutting it down by $100. Still, even at $280, a CD-ROM sound card combo was one of the more costly PC upgrades at the time, and this was one of the mid-range options. Creative sold all kinds of Sound Blaster CD-ROM kits back then, ranging from basic 2X packages with hardly any software to triple and quad speed bundles packing stereo speakers, 16-bit sound cards, and tons of extra programs, with those highest end offerings costing a crispy $1,000 back in 94-95. Goodness. So yeah, suffice it to say that 9-year-old me was left drooling over these CD-ROM kits at the local software etc. and Circuit City stores back then, and I have never had the pleasure of opening one of these up. But that all changes right the heck now, so let's not waste any more time and slice open this sucker. Can already smell the 90s. Hey, look at that. Got the speakers right there, and a registration card or little fold-out thingy. Individual serial numbers. Classy. And there's nothing in there. What the heck? I hope that's supposed to be empty. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's just filler. How disconcerting. Would that be dumb if I went in here and there was nothing in it? Alright, so first thing in here are the speakers, SBS 38s. That sure brings back some memories. I remember a friend of mine had these exact speakers with their Sound Blaster 16 back in the day. I hope they're still that kind of gray, white, beige. It would be nice to see being all fresh and not yellowed. And here is the CD-ROM just hanging out already in its own little tray. Nice. Audio cables, IDE cables. At least I assume it's IDE, could be Creative's bus. I've always loved the front fascia on these. Look at that. Get that cool Sound Blaster logo there, SB Audio. Yeah, this thing is looking great. Doesn't look yellowed or anything. And then right around back, yeah, pretty standard 2-speed CD-ROM. Got Molex jumpers, 40-pin connector, and the digital and analog audio connections. And now this last bit, oh, I'm really excited about. Well, next to last, I guess. So discs and documentation too, but seeing a new old stock Sound Blaster 16, I don't think I've ever experienced this. Oh man, CT2290. Look at that. That's beautiful. All the standard connections around back, 15-pin game port, speaker out, line out, mic in, line in, yes please. So we have both IDE and a Creative / Panasonic drive bus. They're both 40 pins, so that's why I wasn't quite sure which one it is. And of course, always gotta check the version of the DSP. Well, this is one of the ones that has the hanging note bug in certain situations. So I think it's 4.11, 0.12, and 0.13 have the bug. This one does, so still a good card, but something to be aware of. And also the lovely Creative branded Yamaha OPL3 chip right there. It's kind of annoyed me that they took off the Yamaha brand, but I guess that was their own version of the chip. And yeah, this is pre-plug and play. That means you have jumpers for all kinds of things, setting your MPU and IDE and IRQ and other such values all on the board. Got a wavetable connector there if we want to add a wave blaster or equivalent. This is exciting. I love these cards. And our last bit here, ooh, got a bit of weight to it, so documentation and software. Can't forget all that bundled software. Wow. As a stack of goodies. Look at that. Can't wait to discover what's in here. Ooh. So yeah, the Discovery Bundle, double speed bundle. We got the user's guide, nice and beefy looking. Changes to the Sound Blaster 16. It was improved after the user's guide went to press. So it's got different jumpers basically. Some software, feels like drivers, accessories, and more. Ooh, we'll have to look through that. Freebies for kids. Ooh, new Grolier encyclopedia, always exciting. At least it was back then. This is familiar. I actually do have this on its own. I received it in the same like sealed up little bundle here. I didn't have the bundle. Now I have the bundle. Pagan Ultima 8, Strike Commander, Syndicate Plus, Wing Commander 2, all kinds of Origin stuff. We got the user's manual software for both Eagle Eye Mysteries and the Peter Pan Paintbox Pals game. And then, yeah, here is some of the application stuff, I suppose. So Creative Power Graphics, among other things, maybe. I'm assuming it's all in here somewhere, so, yeah. Just what a wonderful bunch of goodies. Look at all this. Oh, this would have been the most absolute exciting thing ever back in 1995. Oh, holy crap. I'm trying to put myself back in that mindset of just not having anything but the PC speaker for years. This is wild. It's like a Christmas I never had. Okay, so let's see what is in here. Let's try to open this. February 15th, 1995. All right. So yeah, Sound Blaster drivers and software for DOS and Windows 3.1 presumably. I like the label. That's a good label. Nice quality sleeve here. I always like these when they, yeah, like soften up the edges, sort of bend things over. What an exciting CD that is. Sound Blaster 16 software on compact disc. Copyright 1994. Yeah. I'll open these other things as we get to them. I do want to take a look at accessories and more. Fall Winter 1995 catalog. Direct to you at competitive prices. Man. Imagine ordering direct from Creative Labs. I always imagined it back as a kid. Maybe you did have the experience of ordering direct. Oh wow, it's a fold-out thing. Oh, the Arrow pin. I remember that. Well, I don't remember it from back then, but I have come across it looking at random oddware ideas. The Sound Blaster keys. That's another thing I've been meaning to cover. CD-ROM caddies for caddy loading CD-ROMs. $5 per caddy. Wave Blaster 2, I have that. Oh, the ASP upgrade. Now that I have never come across. Yeah, that's that little empty spot that was on the card there that you might have seen earlier. Triple speed SCSI CD-ROM. 3DO Blaster, whoa, an actual ad for it. That is such a rare beast. I was really lucky to be able to borrow one and do a video on that a while back here in LGR. Wow. Imagine paying 400 bucks for one of those brand new. It's a bargain now. And yeah, a bunch of other software and such. Creative Voice Assist. The Video Blaster RT300. I have another version of the Video Blaster I've been meaning to cover. The ShareVision. Never heard of that. Desktop conferencing. Okay. 90s Zoom. That might be pretty fun to find sometime too. Anyway, I always love looking through these because I always get ideas and then I have a drink or two and go on eBay, and now that's the basis of my channel. Okay, let's take a look at these delightful speakers. Ooh, hey, so creamy. There's no power. Optional 6-volt DC power or 4 1.5-volt size C batteries. Well, guess I'll be using batteries for now, but oh, good old cheap speakers. I have not seen these and I can't even remember how long. I like how it does have some sort of dynamic bass boost. Sure. Okay, so we do at least have some different things in the back there. Got power plugging in over here. There's a left and right amp power on. Cable goes between them, it appears. Treble boost. And I guess the cords, yeah, just packed in the little battery bay. And that's actually held up. A lot of times foam that old just turns into nothing. Oh, what in the... Look at that! Well, that's fun. Well, what a goofy little setup. It's kind of charming. Okay. And you know, I just noticed this is the CR563B, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the same kind of creative CD-ROM that is used and actually kind of required by the 3DO Blaster. That's kind of awesome. So that would mean this is a creative interface, not IDE. Oh yeah, let's get all of this plugged in, hooked up, set up, and all that with a computer 486 from the mid-90s. Try out these speakers, the CD-ROM sound card, the games and software. Oh yeah, stick around, we're just getting started. Alrighty, with all that out of its decades-old cardboard prison, it's time to get things set up. And for that, I'll be using this Quantex 486DX with Windows 3.1 and MS-DOS 6.22. It's a mid-90s desktop with an 80 MHz Cyrix DX2 CPU, 16 megs of RAM, PCI, ISA, and VLB slots, a 2 MB Diamond Stealth 64 video card, and a couple of floppy drives. A prime target for a 1995 multimedia upgrade like the Discovery CD bundle. At the moment, its only sound option is the humble PC speaker inside, so let's not waste any more time. Yank off the top cover and get a Sound Blaster installed. I'd planned on sticking it in one of these 16-bit ISA slots near the compact flash drive, but unfortunately, fate had other ideas. The combination of the motherboard design and the length of this particular Sound Blaster 16 meant that it wouldn't fit, either smushing up against the front panel connections or colliding with the CPU heatsink. So unless I want to start changing other stuff around in here, my only real choice with a card of this length is to install it in the very bottom slot, which also happens to be the system's only VLB slot. Not ideal, but it'll do for the moment since I don't have any local bus plans for this just yet. Next is the CD-ROM, which again brings me to a delightful annoyance with this particular system. In order to access the 5¼ drive bay screws, you need to remove the entire 3.5-inch drive cage held in by 3 screws on the top and front. You know, not the end of the world, but it's an extraneous additional step, and I took it personally. With that out of the way, I went ahead and plugged in the analog audio cable and the 40-pin ribbon cable to the CD-ROM, strung those through, and slid the drive into the slot right below the 1.2 meg floppy drive. And then it's just a matter of screwing in the 4 included drive screws. No big deal on the right-hand side, but the left-hand side is a pain, since it's all cramped up against the front panel goodies and got some razor-sharp metal edges and stuff to contend with. Whatever, it's what I signed up for, and I made it out with only a few forgettable finger cuts. I then got the 3.5-inch floppy drive resituated and made sure the 2 CD cables plugged into the appropriate bits on the Sound Blaster card, and that was that in regards to the hardware. It was just a matter of pushing out a blank drive bay cover, slapping the case back on, and admiring the resulting beauty. Yeah, Eye of the Beholder and all that stuff, perhaps, but I think it looks awesome in that uneven retro kind of way where none of the drives are exactly the same color as the case, which was a thing back in the day too, even before things started yellowing. It's fine, it's part of it. So let's get the two speakers going, which begins with a quartet of C batteries, 2 in each unit. And I found this kind of amusing. On their own, you still don't get any power, even with the batteries installed, because yeah, that 2-pronged cord we saw around back, it not only carries audio, but power between the two speakers, combining the 2 battery bays together into a 4-cell combo using that cord, and now we have power. Neat. Right, so let's get those plugged into the speaker output on the card and go ahead and power on the system, which will of course start up as if nothing's changed since the computer thinks nothing's changed. We still got to get the software installed and all that crap, so that is going to begin with this 720K diskette containing the CD-ROM drivers. Yeah, only the CD-ROM, not the sound card. Because once the CD drive is ready to go and the system restarts, we can move right onto the Sound Blaster software CD, which contains everything related to installing and configuring the sound card itself, at least all the stuff from Creative Labs. And multiple sound cards are actually supported on this disc, with lots of bonus software and sample sound effects also on here that take up a lot of extra space, hence it not being distributed on floppy disk. And yeah, with all that on the hard drive and new lines added to the DOS startup files, we're ready to dial in the card's settings and verify there aren't any device conflicts. Because remember, this is pre-plug and play, so IRQ and DMA settings are controlled by the on-card jumpers. Thankfully, the default settings were perfectly fine, as you might expect for a pretty bare system like this, and we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. The delightful Sound Blaster 16 diagnostic utility.
8-bit testing. 16-bit testing.
How charming. And yeah, it also went ahead and took care of Windows 3.1 drivers and software while it was doing its thing, so the next time we start it up, sound is magically enabled in Windows, and a host of Creative Labs software and applets are set in place in the Program Manager and configured for your enjoyment. Yeah, that little bass boost does make a slight difference, by the way. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that little MIDI medley. It does come with a whole bunch of MIDI sample files, as well as wave files and other files to give you a demonstration of the sound capabilities, of course. And you know, being that it only has the OPL3, you just get the FM synth. It's nothing too crazy until you add a wavetable daughter board onto the card or hook it up to something external like a Roland Sound Canvas or what have you. But yeah, classic stuff here. And just seeing this once again, this virtual hi-fi stack that Creative included with all kinds of their sound cards back in the Windows 3.1, early Windows 95 era. Yeah, it's good stuff. Always like seeing this. You got the creative mixer here for individual controls over your various inputs and outputs. And look at all this. This is all of the Windows 3.1 software that came with the Creative Discovery CD, except for Kai's Power Tools, which is just a plugin for Photo Styler. But yeah, each of these here, these are the ones that are running in the background. And then let's see what else we got here. We got this one here, Sound OLE. It's really just a altered version of the Windows sound recorder, pretty much. Lets you play back and record WAV files. And once again, it comes with a whole bunch of samples. I've also got the Sound Blaster Wave Studio version 2.0, a more involved sound manipulator editor kind of thing. So if we were to open one of these in here, I don't know what this is, but we'll play it. Okay, little synthy sample there, so you can do reverse, echo, invert, fade in and out. Yeah, kind of like a very light version of Cool Edit or something along those lines. So we can reverse both channels, add some 75% echo, because why not? Well, that was pretty cool. Anyway, Mosaic is that annoying tile sliding game. Yeah, I never liked this. It's just there to show that, hey, games can have sound now. That's all that is. Monologue is kind of an interesting thing. It's just,
Testing 1, 2, 3.
yeah, a thing that reads text to speech, depending on what program you're running or not running. So we can have it to Excel or clipboard or whatever. Oh, let's just have the clipboard. So whatever's on the clipboard. So I'll just copy that and you can right click it.
I can read whatever the nuts you want me to. Farts.
I wasn't expecting the delay. But anyway, so that's what that is. You've also got the talking scheduler, which is really what it sounds like. You got a few different characters to choose from. Simon, Perkins, Igor. Change your voice settings, name and stuff. So you got this awful clock where you can add things to your calendar. For some reason, you can't just type it in. But if you find the right spot in a 5-minute increment, then you can do it. So let's see, we're meeting YouTube and we have a description here. And then whenever it hits 125, we should just have a thing happen.
You have an appointment with YouTube from 1:25 p.m. to 1:40 p.m. Check the comments or whatever. I don't know. Bleh.
Bleh. His voices. Speaking of voices, you have the dictionary manager here, which just changes the way that it pronounces things. So you've got all these phonetic deals, which is all listed in detail in the manual. This is a very detailed manual. It's just, I don't even know how many hundreds of pages. A couple hundred. It's a bunch. Lets you know how to change the way things are said. So for instance,
Actually.
that's how it normally says actually, but
Actually.
yeah, you can change it around so that it doesn't mispronounce things.
Anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah.
Patent. Patent.
Well,
Patent. Patent.
I mean,
Patent.
depends on where you're from, I guess. We got the new Grolier Multimedia Encyclopedia that requires a CD-ROM, so we'll get to that. Altamira Composer Special Edition. And yeah, this really is a kind of image manipulator, but it's also optimized for like taking a bunch of different images and graphics and text and such, and then laying them out onto a page like this one that it came with. What in the world is this composition? I don't know, but birds. Birds. Yeah, this is this was the example composition. And yeah, you got a bunch of different tools for layering things and yeah, transforming and warping and adding effects and geometry and textures and touching up images. Kind of a Photoshop-y type of thing, but more optimized for all these layers. You know, a thing that came with that was really Photoshop-esque is Aldus Photo Styler version 2.0 here. this was a competitor to Photoshop very directly. 1994 is when Aldus went out of business. I mean, they were bought out by Adobe, so a lot of these features in here ended up getting rolled into Photoshop later on. Got a bunch of just, you know, your classic stuff. Soft and sharpen noise. You can emboss things. 90s effects. And, you know, image manipulation. More so than doing all the layering stuff, you would take things over to Altamira Composer if you wanted to start layering and really, you know, composing more complicated stuff. You also had gallery effects, also from Aldus. This is 1992, I suppose. And yeah, this is kind of interesting too because, yeah, like I said, Adobe bought them out, and they ended up rolling almost all of these effects, I think, into Photoshop later on. So yeah, look at these. You got the chalk and charcoal, chrome, dark strokes, dry brush, film grain, graphic pen, mosaic, poster edges. Like, that's what that is. So you would have separate programs for each of these things, when nowadays so much of this is just rolled up into one. But no, here you had 3 different ones. And then if you wanted to start morphing stuff, well, you had HSC Digital Morph. So if you remember my video that I did on how they made the Animorphs covers, I made that a while ago on LGR, it's kind of similar to that actually, where you just draw out your source and destination and then you can morph them together. So this is only going to show like a single image, I think, but you can also make animations. See my video on morphing software. It wasn't about this software in particular, but this is just, you know, one of those things that would allow you to do that. Pretty powerful stuff at the time and oddly popular in the early to mid 90s. In fact, it did come with some example files, like a video, of some of the stuff that you can do with it, you know, morphing one person into another. So, like this here. It's just kind of your classic example of a morph. So you've got it going from one person to another. Not a very well-made morph, but, you know, yeah, it was pretty brilliant in 1993. And of course you have the go-to, the new Grolier Multimedia Encyclopedia. It's Release 6, 1994 edition. This was always a popular pack-in option. Yeah, oh man. I used to love going through these encyclopedias. Multimedia maps, word searches, knowledge trees, pictures, timelines, videos, animations, maps, and sounds. Let's go to sounds because this is a sound card after all. So we got animals, for instance. We can open a cobra sound. All right, that's a terrible example. How about an elk? An elk with gas, perhaps. Whatever, elks just sound weird. Coyote. Oh, stock sound effects. Wonderful. And we do have videos, and a lot of these have sound too. A lot of them don't. Let's go, ooh, that looks fun. X15 test.
Come on, press, give us the chamber reading. 12 degrees. Push your throttle up and give us chamber pressure. We don't have chamber pressure, about 200. Roger, you got the full...
This is wildly exciting in 1994, man. Seriously, I was so impressed seeing this. And that's pretty much it in terms of what it comes with for Windows. Now, this is only the start, of course, because the other side of things were the DOS programs. So you got the Peter Pan Story Painting Adventure Eagle Eye Mysteries, the first one, a bunch of Origin games, Ultimate 8 Syndicate, plus Strike Commander and Wing Commander 2, not all of which run very well on this system, unfortunately. Mostly due to weird memory issues and slight speed issues and other issues because DOS games from the early 90s. This EA Kids one is an intriguing proposition. I'm not terribly familiar with either one of them. In fact, I don't think I've played either one of them, but look at this, how delightful. So you got previews for other things that they made. And just, yeah, you click that, I suppose, to play the main Peter Pan CD. Novatrade.
Hello, I'm Sassy Sally. Bonsoir. I'm the Jazzman. Oh, my name's Winston.
I like you, Winston. You're cool.
Hello, my name's Nick.
Nick's trying too hard. Bruce Shelley? Alright.
My greatest theft, the treasure map!
I'll take that.
It's a very accurate rooster, Peter. Man, he's really good at that.
Bring that back!
How about a hand in waking Wendy?
Me?
Sometimes you just have to wing it.
What did I do?
Read this. I can't read this in the dark.
But it's like, it's giving me options to do things with these little paint box guys. Oh, paint the sunlight. Make it bright. Amazing. Well, that's cool. Of course, the other one it came with is Eagle Eye Mysteries. And I believe this one's a little more just kind of traditional adventure game. Sort of.
Hi, I'm Jake Eagle, and this is my twin sister Jennifer. Together we're the Eagle Eye Detective Agency.
Hi, Jake.
With your help, we'll be solving all kinds of mysteries in our hometown, Richview.
Hi, Jennifer. Y'all are rich. Look at this
Let's show you
treehouse.
around a little. Richview's a small town, but there sure is a lot going on.
Richview is small, but
Let's roll, Jake.
loaded. Wow, look at all these rich people.
Tons of stuff goes on here, from dog shows to skateboard tournaments. It's a great place to interview witnesses.
I bet. So anyway,
Last month,
I got some
we checked
solid examples of Sound Blaster sound and whatnot. And of course, for the slightly older players, we got all these Origin games. Right, so there's 3 or 4 pretty awesome games on this CD. However, they're all from that era of early 90s Origin software, early DOS software with memory managers in general, where it's really picky about your memory settings. You know, I've got plenty of conventional memory, I've got 16 megs of RAM. It's not that, it's just how DOS has got to be configured. Totally normal stuff for games at the time, but kind of irritating because it does mean that right now Syndicate Plus doesn't work at all, and Wing Commander 2 will start, but it doesn't really have sound. And I've already spent over half an hour, 45 minutes trying to fix these things with different configurations and startup files and boot disks, following these instructions in the instruction manual that it came with. And you know, 2 out of 4 ain't bad, I guess. So I know Ultima 8 functions, at least for what that's worth.
You have been a thorn in my side for far too long, Avatar. Your 2 worlds will be crushed. Britannia first, then Earth.
They don't know who the Avatar is here.
No one here knows of the Avatar.
That's what I just said. Anyway, I just don't feel like messing with more memory managers at the moment. Thanks for the info, Devin. Let's die. Here lies the Avatar. At least he died having a Sound Blaster, and his friends thought he was awesome because of it. Like I said, you can get the other things working on there, but each one of them requires a slightly different memory configuration. And the only other one that I've gotten to work on this system fully is Strike Commander. Let me see if I can get that working real quick. And I think it needs more buffers as well. That should get this one working. 90s DOS games. It's all right, we don't have nearly as much conventional memory, but we should, yeah, there we go. So that got this one game working. That's how it is, man.
Ready all flights. Wildcat 2-1, scramble.
Roger, over.
Roger, I'm on Bandit 2.
Man, such multimedia. This is so cool still. Just putting myself back in that early mid-90s mindset. I loved combat flight sims. I never played this one nearly as much as I did Wing Commander, but it's pretty similar stuff going on. I mean, it's Strike Commander instead of Wing Commander, so you got that idea at least. The compact disc just flying around the loading screen, just reminding you, yes, loading from a CD. You have a CD-ROM now. That's exciting. Get excited. Uh-oh. And I don't have mouse controls enabled. There we go. Mouse. Ah. Ah! Little sensitive. Oh, crap. Ah, no, no, no.
Pull up, pull up.
I'm trying. Okay, well. So that didn't work. Well, anyway, you get the point. Sound Blaster, CD-ROMs, plays games. It's awesome. And of course, gotta let some Duke 3D play out here in the background while we're wrapping it up, because yeah, that really is about it for this delightful Discovery CD kit from Creative Labs 1995. It would have been phenomenally exciting to grab this back in the day. I really wish that I had had this experience back as a kid. It would have been hugely memorable. I mean, it's nostalgic now and I never experienced it, but it's like a secondhand nostalgia. So I don't know, it was one of those deals where if I had had it, I know it would have been months of fun messing around with all those programs and windows. Even though a lot of them were graphics related, the sound manipulation programs would have been really exciting. And I mean, same for the graphic stuff too. I was all into any kind of software that let me create and manipulate files and imagery and digital data. It was just awesome stuff back then. And I always dreamed of having a Sound Blaster Creative CD-ROM combo. So it's always a bit special in my mind. So let me know if you have any memories of these bundles from Creative or other companies from back in the day or more recently. I don't know. I don't come across these in the box terribly often, but I just felt that it was worth sharing here. And if nothing else, is just a bit of time travel going back to those days where this kind of stuff was the peak of multimedia computing. Ah, good times. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, then check out my other videos I've done on various other kind of retro, vintage computery kind of stuff, sound cards and CD-ROMs and otherwise, and stick around for new videos each week here on LGR. And as always, thank you for watching.